right, so we are here now with the former two Division One world champion, the Burmese Python, Aung La N Sang. Thank you for joining us here on the MMA Superfan. So, how has life been for you right now?
It's going good. Everything is well. I am gearing for my last part of my training camp.
Right. So, yeah. So, well, you've got a very important fight coming up. It's the guy you've been asking for. You got him finally. We're talking about one of the most influential Japanese MMA fighters, Yushin Okami. So, how do you feel now that this fight is finally happening?
I can't wait. I can't wait to touch gloves and throw down.
All right. Yeah. So, you're a legend in one championship, one of the true OGs in the sport, in the promotion, and Okami is obviously a huge name in MMA. So, can you just describe how big this fight is for you, for not only for you but for both of you too?
You call me OG, but I still feel pretty young.
Well, we all do feel pretty young.
I'm a lot older than the guys that are coming up in such. But I've always watched Okami in different promotions. Been a fan of his, so for me to be able to compete against him, I'm very excited and I'm very happy.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're a fan of Okami. So, how does it feel fighting someone you, well, basically looked up to when you were coming up into the sport?
It's very cool. It's like you getting to work with somebody that you looked at in the industry. So for me to be able to work with him, when I say work, it's like to fight him, to compete against. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. Yeah, during the press conference in Tokyo, Mr. Chatri Sityotong said that your fight against Yushin was one of the easiest they had to make because you both wanted to fight each other. So, what was the decision behind really when you actively asked for a fight with Yushin?
No, I just want to stay busy. Honestly, I just want to. When they offer me that, great. And I know he has a lot of fans in Japan, so it's going to be a fun one for the fans for sure.
Yeah, what do you think? We all know that Yushin is one of the let's say OGs of the sport, but what makes him such an important fighter for you to fight at this stage of your career?
Um, I mean, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. You know, uh, stylistically, he has great grappling, great judo, um, and very long and tall. So it's going to be a fun one for sure. It's going to go in on the feet, on the ground. And it's going to be a fun one.
All right. Yeah, so let's break it down right now. You just said that it's going to be fun wherever the fight goes. So, what do you think of Yushin as a fighter?
He's a great fighter. He's proven over and over again. He's won in every promotion. He's gotten world title shots. So he's a legit competitor and a great athlete. So for me to be able to compete against him, it's an honor.
Yeah. What do you think are his biggest strengths right now? And are there things you have to worry about when you face him eventually inside a circle?
If I'm on point, if I'm sharp, it's going to be. There's I've prepared myself well enough that I don't think like there's anything that he's going to do to me that I haven't seen in the room.
Oh yes. Speaking of that, at the same time, what do you think are Yushin's biggest weaknesses? Anything you think you can exploit when you fight him?
Yeah, I think if I touch him, he's going to go down. So it's just a matter of me being able to land my shots.
Yeah, speaking of landing those shots, we all know that you have one of the heaviest hands in MMA. How's the power coming along? Is it still there, or is it even more powerful right now?
I think it's more powerful right now. I think I'm sharper now. Um, and I just had to get, I just had to get to the fight healthy and 100%. Then it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we're sure it's going to be an electrifying one. Yeah. Of course, the goal remains the same. You want to get your belts back. Um, but realistically, how hard is it to get back, trying to get back to the world title picture, back in title contention?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a year. I think, I have a feeling it's going to take a year, but I had that, I had that run in me, and I know it's gonna happen.
So let's say an emphatic win over Yushin is like the starting point for you to get back to the belts.
Probably fights after that, you know,
Mhm.
but and it's okay. I'm a patient guy. Um, so, but I'm not gonna look past Okami. To me, nothing right now, nothing in the future matters, except the night when Okami and I are gonna throw down.
Yeah, we still have lots of time. Well, you're still young, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, 3 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. It's early November, right? So pretty close now. Yeah.
Can't
So
wait.
yeah, me too. Yeah. Training for the fight. What have you worked on at Kill Cliff with Henry Hoof?
Well, we're still working on attacking the southpaw, attacking the southpaw, making sure my footwork is better, making sure my hands are sharp, my kicks are sharp. More importantly, we've been working a lot on the ground, on the grappling part. So
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be
Speaking
fun,
of
man. There's gonna be fights, on the feet, on the ground. It's gonna be a fun one.
oh yeah, speaking of fighting on the ground, you recently worked out with Mickey Gall. So how is it?
Great, Mickey Gall has been helping me out a lot. We also have, the Burns brother, Herbert
Mm.
Gilbert. Yeah, and we have, one of my friends, George Trico. He's also, a great grappler as well. Um, and like as far as grappling goes, I also have Rogan Gracie. So he's the guy that I've been working on. He's very tall. He's like 6'5". So I've been working with him as well, and it's gonna be good, man. There's gonna be I'm gonna attack all positions on the feet, on the ground, you know. So it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice. Yeah, speaking of training with Henry Hooft, what are the weaknesses in your game that you well recently discovered, and how have you addressed them?
My wrestling's always been, my weakness. Um, and it's been about 4 years now that I've been working, hard on my wrestling. And of course, like when you work on something, it doesn't show right away in a fight. But I think in this fight, it's gonna my hips, my footwork, and my legs and my defense are gonna be much better.
Yeah, yeah,
If I want to take him down, I can take him down too. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Let's move on to one of your closest friends, Martin Nguyen. Unfortunately, he lost his last fight against Ilya Premanov. So, what are your thoughts about that fight?
Yeah, he needs to come back and train. He needs to come back and train at Killcliff FC right now to get better looks. I feel like he was doing a lot of boxing, which is good, but Fremenov did a good job of kicking and showing the knee. Showing the knee, and that's one of the aspects that is in mixed martial arts that you might neglect when you're only sparring with boxers. So, but it's okay. It's a fight. A fight's a fight. Anything can happen. If Martin if Martin can land his right hand, he can knock anybody out too. So it's
Yeah.
one of those. Yeah.
Well, he knocked out Edward
Fight,
Polayang with that right hand.
fighting, man. It's ups and downs. It's hard when you get to the top. It's hard to stay at the top. because everybody's coming after you. So.
Yeah. Have you spoken to him? What did you tell him? How do you help a friend out? Come over that loss, move over that loss.
Oh, how you get over a loss is you just keep working, put your head back down, and go back to work. You know. So what happened is I I told him, he's gonna come back here in like, and I talked to him this morning. So he's gonna come back in a few weeks, and we're gonna get back to training. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So huge events coming up in Singapore. Obviously, not just 163 where you're going to fight, but also one on Prime Video 4. It's going to be an electric fight, main event especially. What are your thoughts on Christian Lee versus Kiamrian Abasov for the welterweight title?
I can't. That's gonna be a good fight. I can't predict because whenever I think, oh man, whenever I doubted Christian Lee, he's proven me wrong over and over again. So again, Christian Lee, he's so young. He's so young. When he first fought in Myanmar, he was 17 years old. Think about that.
Yeah.
When I was in the card with him, when I was the main event in Myanmar, he was 17 years old. He was a 17-year-old. I can't, count him out or anything like that. And he's coming, when you're the one that's looking to conquer, you have a little more energy than when you're trying to defend your kingdom. The person that's hungry to conquer, it's easier for them. They have a little more energy than the person that's defending the kingdom. So, I think he can pull it off. He has all the, but at the same time, we'll see how, Abasov comes back from his last loss.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Christian started his career. He started his career at featherweight, but now he's moving up to welterweight, 30 pounds more than the featherweight limit. Do you think that's a little too much for his frame? I mean, well, he's 5'11", but how do you think he will be competitively against Abasov and the bigger guys?
I don't know. I don't think Abasov that big. So crazy. I think what Martin and I were like, you can't even compare. You would never think of us fighting, right?
Yeah.
But just right, Martin, Christian Lee, who's gonna fight Abasov, and Abasov, Yushin Okami, who I'm gonna fight. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I think
Abasov between Martin and I. Crazy, huh? It's a sport of MMA, man. So I don't think it matters. I don't think that matters. On fight night, they're probably gonna weigh around the same. And I'm sure Christian Lee's gonna be a little bit stronger than he was at lightweight, and Abasov's gonna be a little bit smaller than he did when he fought at middleweight.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Christian is just blessed with the frame of being 5'11" and can come up to size whenever he wants. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said Christian can pull this off, but what are his chances? Is he getting this one in a knockout? Is he getting this one in a decision? Well, his grappling is really good too. Can he do what his older sister Angela couldn't do and become a two-division world champion?
It is possible. Angela was close too. So you cannot count the Lee family out, for sure. If Martin and I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah. One recently signed one of the biggest free agents, Roberto Soldich. He's going to make his debut in Manila in December. So obviously that guy could be a potential opponent for you at middleweight. So what are your thoughts about Roberto and what do you think of him as a fighter?
I trained with him, right? He's come to our gym a few years ago. not a few months ago, like a year ago. Roberto is good, man. He's got a strong left hand, great striking, great counter, great footwork. I mean, I hope he does good. He fights at welterweight, so it's a different weight class for me.
Yeah, welterweight right now. He'll make his debut at welterweight, but he said he's gonna fight at middleweight too.
Yeah.
So do you think you will be fighting him down the road? How epic would that fight be against him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he wants to fight me. We there. So I mean, but I am going to be there for his fight in Manila.
Oh, nice.
Because my boy Teal is fighting on the Manila card, right?
Yeah. Yep. Against Danny
Jergen.
Trinidad or Jerry
no.
Pacateo. Yeah.
That's a tough fight.
Yeah, so
But anyways, I'll be there for the fight. But he doesn't have an easy fight at all. I wouldn't look past the guy he's going to fight. You know, the guy Saeed he's a great grappler, big for his weight class. You know, so I wouldn't look past his opponent. His opponent is 11-0, right?
yeah,
I believe.
Murad Ramazanov.
Yeah, he's like 11-0, right?
Yep. It's also killer. So yeah. Who do you
Yeah.
Speaking of Ramazanov and Soldic, both killers. Who do you think takes that one?
Who do I think's gonna win that one?
Yep. Roberto versus Ramazanov.
I mean, hope Roberto wins, but either way, you know, it could go either way. So I don't really. I stopped guessing who's gonna win because I think, oh man, this guy's grappling is this good, my striking is this good, but then the thing is, it's a fight, and you know, if your reaction time is a little bit off, then you're screwed. You know, it's like one of those things that you know, in a gym, right? In a gym, like it's like you have your good days and you have your bad days. If you're on your best day and your opponent is on his worst day, like anything can happen, you know. So you want to train hard enough that even on your worst day, you can beat anybody.
Yeah.
That I don't know who's gonna win that fight, man. I can't predict the future, but it's gonna be a good one. You know, depends on if Ramanov can take him down and, you know, pound out a decision, or if the guy's gonna be able to use his footwork and keep on the feet.
Lastly, let's touch on a recent subject that has made the rounds on the MMA Newswire just the other day. Piotr Yan potentially leaving the UFC and looking to take his talents elsewhere. Fans, well, especially on Reddit, suggested that he should join one. So, what are your thoughts on that situation with Piotr Yan?
That'd be great for the bantamweight division, right?
Yep.
Fabricio Andrade versus Peter Yan. Oh, but the only problem is they're both from Tiger, so.
Oh yeah. So next station there.
The title fight, they won't care.
Well, Piotr lost 2 decisions, controversial ones against Aljo and Sean O'Malley. But did you watch his fights? Did you think the decision was the right one, especially his fight against Sugar Sean?
I think so at all. With Sugar Sean, I don't think it was a good decision at all. I thought Peter Yan fight, you know. That's kind of mad. But it's all politics, you know, when it comes to they want a fresh new blood, you know, so come on, how can you I don't know, man. I can't UFC judging is so bad, man. Like it's so bad. Decision, you know, very often goes to the the wrong person when it's a close fight, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of Christian, how did you feel when he just obliterated Okreyun in the rematch?
I don't know, man. That's Oak didn't look like himself.
Yeah, he looked a
I
bit lost.
really wonder if Oak had like an injury, like a knee injury or something. I don't
Mm.
know, but he didn't look like his old self, you know. But of course, I can't. I mean, props to Christian, you know, for to be able to do that. But I don't think it's the last time we'll see Oak reunion for sure.
Yeah,
But
Oak is a tough guy.
there's some killers at the lightweight division now.
Yeah.
There's some killers from the Russian fighters, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Habib's kid.
yeah, and also remember, and also the guy that knocked out what's his name?
Dagi Arsenal. I can say his last name right, but Dagi
Yeah,
is dangerous.
yeah, dangerous. Um, there's another dangerous guy too, though. Man, lightweight and the featherweight is stacked, man.
Yeah. Let me pull up the rankings a bit quick. Lightweight. Yeah, Halil Amir, the new guy.
Yes.
He
Who did
choked out
who did he beat?
Halil. Let me see.
Kim, right?
Is it Kim? Oh wait, let me check. Halil Amir. Here, he beat Timofey. He beat
Timothy.
Nasty.
Right.
Second round knockout. Yeah, second round knockout of Nasty.
Yeah. Crazy, right? All these guys that are coming up. But the crazy thing is these guys have been training for a long time too, you know. These guys have been training for a long time. It's just that you don't they're so young and you don't see them. They're not very well known yet, you know. But
Yeah. 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 Speaking of young guys, the past two events of one recently had this injection of new blood. But what do you think of these guys? They come into one championship and they just start beating people up.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, we'll see, you know. We'll see how good they are. I know they're starting to test too, you know, test,
Yep.
make sure the fighters are clean. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. You know, that's going to be good for the sport for sure.
Yeah. I think the first guy to test positive was Roberto's friend, the heavyweight. He was suspended for a year.
It's good. I think everybody should be tested.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
Going back to Piotr, it's understandable how he would feel like the UFC doesn't have his back, you know. But losses are tough to deal with. But if you're in the situation of Piotr's, on the wrong end of two close decisions, would you have reacted the same way? What do you think about how he's handling the situation right now?
he handled like a pro. He didn't do nothing. He didn't, you know, he didn't make a scene. He didn't jump out of the cage. He didn't make a scene. He was a he had a good, you know, sports, like, you know, sportsmanship.
Yep.
He was a, you know, so I mean, it's understandable that he wants to leave the UFC, you know, after being given the wrong decision, you know. But let me tell you, man, I've gotten wrong side of the decision a lot of the times too, you know. So it's MMA. It's not just UFC, you know. It's a lot of promotions will give it to the other guy that they think is gonna take the promotion, you know, to further. So
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the
remember,
bantamweights, yep. Sorry, go on.
right? Angela Lee was complaining about the decision, right?
Yeah.
And and who was the other girl that, you know, she was telling um you shouldn't have left it to the judge's decision. You know, that's what she was telling that. I don't know which girl.
I think it was Denise Zamboanga.
He's lost to that Korean girl, right?
Yeah, she lost to Ham.
Yeah, Han, right?
Yeah.
So it's like double-edged sword, right? So Angela Lee said, "Oh, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't have left it to the judge's decision." And she did the same, and she complained. So I'm not gonna complain about that. Decisions can be bad, but I'm telling you, man, like it's across the board. It's like I've lost a lot of fights on bad decisions, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of Piotr potentially joining one,
How sure are you?
I think the feeling that a lot of people are saying it, and I think DC fanned the Flames about it. And there's of course Anatole is Piotr's close friend, so I think Anatole is hyping up one for Piotr. Yeah, so I think it's almost inevitable, like a 60% chance.
You think so?
Yeah,
I would be surprised, to be honest. I would be surprised.
yeah, I'd be surprised too, but I think I have a feeling that he will join.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
But he does have, you know.
yeah,
So Raj, the hands is. I mean, it'd be good for one championship for sure.
yes, it's gonna
So
be.
that's one of the best featherweight and bantamweights, in the world, lightweights in the world. So
Yeah. Yeah. So well, there you have it. The Burmese Python, one of the greatest legends of the sport. Thank you for joining us on the MMA Superfan. All the best to your next fight, Ong.